What it do, KTTeeV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of the Daily K Podcast. And on today's episode, we have Dr. Billy Snow from the Transformation Leaders Network. How you doing today, Dr. Snow?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I won't complain. We just pushing through this quarantine life. And so, as I do that, I just try to reach out to people, and kind of get their insights on it, but also get information that will help someone else.
Thank you for having me on. I know we all have to pull together in this crisis for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I appreciate you taking some time out. As we get into things, I wanted to know, how are you doing during this quarantine time?
That's a good, thoughtful question. Thank you very much. It's spending time with the family. My wife is a teacher, and she's teaching from home right now. And then my daughter is a senior in high school, and so she has work that she's doing. And then I'm trying to work on some projects for the Transformation Leaders Network. So basically just staying in the apartment. This is day 17. I think I may have lost count. But day 17 of quarantine and just trying to stay safe and healthy.
Can you give me a little bit of your leadership background and what you're currently doing at this time?
Absolutely. I am CEO and founder of Transformation Leaders Network, and it is a consultancy that's really designed to work right beside schools and districts and systems, kind of as thought partners and staff developers and trainers and consultants. But before that, an amazing history that led me to this place. I was a 3rd and 4th grade teacher, so education has always been my background. I remember back in the day kind of thinking that, God had placed a calling on my life to be an educator, but not just for being just any classroom teacher, but for a classroom teacher for kids that needed me the most, for kids that didn't have fathers, perhaps, so that I could be a good role model to those children. So I was a 3rd and 4th grade teacher, then became an assistant principal in Mesquite, Texas, and a principal in Corsicana, Texas, right along I-45 between Dallas and Houston. So I did led a Title I school there for 7 years. During that time, I'm just really proud of the things that we did together, because when I first got there was a lot of opportunity gaps. And during our time together, we closed those gaps. So it taught me a lot about equity. From there, moved to Mansfield, Texas, to be a principal at another Title I school. I did that. We turned that school around in 1 year. And then they asked me to be a part of the leadership team and be an assistant superintendent or an area superintendent for Title I schools. So I was really happy that when they talked to me about that, they really talked about my passion and my skill set in that line of work, asking me to do it. From there, went to Shreveport, Louisiana, and hey, you're a Louisiana guy, right? Or at least have some restrictions. Well, Louisiana is a great place, and I was able to lead the transformation zone. And basically what that was is a set of schools that had been failing for up to 12 years, 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, and 8 elementaries, was a part of the team that turned those schools around. Then Chief of Transformation and Innovation in Dallas ISD, where I got to create new schools. And then finally, a superintendent in the state of Texas, before taking that school district to a B grading and then starting my company last August.
The experience is there, the leadership is there, and so I believe nothing but good things will happen for the Transformation Leaders Network. How we even met, man, was crazy because, like I say, my school was studying the Get Better Faster book, and so I was looking in there and I seen your name and I seen Shreveport, Louisiana, and so then I said, "Yep, I got to get in touch with this guy, man." And so that's kind of how things led up to me finding you and reaching out to you and us talking. I just wanted to see if you could talk a little bit about that work with GBF and how that sets you up to support the levers.
I think that the most fun work, my most favorite job, I guess, was probably being a campus principal. But the job that meant the most to my heart, that was the most rewarding, was being in Shreveport, Louisiana, in Caddo Parish, and leading the transformation zone. I remember when the superintendent had called me and asked me to do the work. He told me, "You're going to have to take a pay cut, And it's going to be school turnaround work, but it'll be the best job and the biggest learning experience you've ever had. So I prayed about it with my family and decided to take the job, and I went into a situation where all the schools were F schools that I was in charge of. There were about 6,000 students, and about 40% of the middle school and high school teachers were actually long-term or short-term subs. We did a little study and found out most of our kids didn't have certified math or science teachers after elementary school. And so it was a job that taught me about equity. We focused on climate and culture first and creating a different environment for our students. And then focused on the levers, observation, feedback, and coaching, data meetings, and systems that would help our students and our teachers to achieve. And I was just blessed to be chosen after working with the Transformation Zone and the University of Virginia to be chosen as a member of Paul Bambrick's Leverage Leadership Institute, one of 25 educators in the nation that are selected each year, and was able to go to be a part of that fellowship in New York City for an entire year. That whole entire year focused on being able to focus on all the levers with an emphasis on data meetings and observation feedback. We had videos, we had to do video coaching, we had to submit them for Paul Bambrick's feedback, and then actually got to lead professional development with him and his team, all while I was able to be leading the Transformation Zone in Caddo Parish at the same time. So it kind of solidified some best practices. And it's kind of been a catalyst to help me help others because during the time that I was in Shreveport, that arrest number, 400 arrests a year, dropped to 11. 9 out of the 12 schools came out of failing status within the first 2 years. The graduation rate went up 25 to 30%, and 6 of the schools became Louisiana top game schools. So all that work was super powerful and kind of created a launching pad for the coaching work and the consulting work being done with other schools.
And so then that fast forwards to the Transformation Leaders Network. What type of schools have you been supporting lately in the role that you're doing now?
So I've been blessed to be able to work with some schools and districts in the state of Texas, as well as Colorado and Louisiana, working on a project with the University of Virginia to help them be able to do research about their turnaround and sustainability programs. So I was able to interview a lot of principals that have been through their program and put together a study or a report for them. The schools I'm working with in Louisiana are right outside of New Orleans, one of the most affected, highly impoverished districts in the state of Louisiana. And I'm working with the 3 principals and the superintendent and administrative staff there, doing observation and coaching, focusing on curriculum and instruction and principal coaching as well. And in Colorado, working with the district in the Four Corners area, where I've been able to support them on some work with RTI, as well as on observation, feedback, and data meetings. And then three more districts in the state of Texas. They're all Title I schools, so they're all schools that need this support, and they're all schools that are looking to improve and to do a great job of serving their kids. So I'm excited about it.
And so from the work with the Title I schools, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you, what are you most passionate about as you work with all these schools? And tell me why.
I'm most passionate about equity, and in particular racial equity. And when we think about our country's history, we have to acknowledge that the systems were created for people who look like me. And even though I was a son of a single mom, I still look like me. And I still, the mortgage systems, criminal justice systems, education systems, we're all designed on purpose. And one of the things that I've learned, especially working in Shreveport, was that those systems are, they need disrupted, if you will. That if you focus on equity and you make sure that highly qualified staff and certified teachers and principals are at every school, and you focus on getting them the resources they need, even if they are different resources and different funding than some other schools, that is the right thing to do. And then also being able to use different strategies and supports to be able to get them there. I've seen children literally who had 16 to 20 office referrals the year before, and then by changing the climate and culture, and by focusing on equity and focusing on better practices, have seen those numbers go from 16 to 0. I've seen kids rise from being, failing their classes to becoming honor roll students, and I've seen principals and teachers rise in what they're able to learn and do, all because of the focus on equity. And equity means that everybody gets a shoe. Everybody needs to have a shoe, and that's equality. But equity means that everybody gets the that fits, and that means you have to treat everybody differently, even when some people think that might be fair. It doesn't have to be.
I totally understand where you're coming from. Very needed, and the good thing is it's a lot of highlight on that subject right now. I know in my district they are, and I don't know if they're finished, but they've been doing they were doing an equity survey to just see how it is in our district. I know that was pretty big before we left. So I'll be interested to see, what comes out of that.
Absolutely.
Have you reached out to any of the schools you were supporting to just kind of hear what are some of the things that schools are needing as they switch to virtual?
Absolutely, I have, and it's been a learning experience. I've reached out to each one of my current partners and been able to ask them questions about, what is working for you right now? What are your biggest challenges and your issues? And what are some things that you worry about? What kind of things keep you up at night? And there are a few things that have jumped out at consistently as being concerns. One is this idea of equity, that we are seeing now more than ever, the haves and the have-nots. Because, some kids don't have devices, they don't have Wi-Fi, and they do have devices and Wi-Fi. Their mom or dad may be working in an essential job at a food place or a grocery store or Home Depot, or a first line responder or something, not able to be home with them to help them with their assignments. So we all are recognizing that we're actually creating more gaps. And what are we asking questions like, what are we going to do about them when we are able to go back to school? And how will online learning support the learning moving forward? And how do you deal with it now in a way that has a focus on equity? Another thing that has come up a lot has been a focus on social emotional learning. Because teachers, we have to remember that teachers are in crisis and they have their own children at home. They may have a husband that's out of work or gone working. And then the children are in the same situation. And so I always encourage everybody, when you have a Zoom meeting or a Google Classroom meeting with your students or your teachers, always should begin with, how are you doing? What do you need? Are you okay? Before getting to the topic of any work. And I think the third thing that's coming out is there's not a general understanding about what's reasonable and as an expectation, what's too much, what's too slow, what's too fast. And some teachers are overwhelmed and overloaded. And we are going to end up appreciating, when all this is over, I have no doubt we're going to end up appreciating education and teachers and schools more than ever. That's my hope, but I'm also seeing it that there's a teachers and teaching and school is about relationships also. That we can have online learning and we can have online platforms, but it's also about human contact. Yes, and that's important to people.
Yes, and as I talk to teachers, like I said, around the country, it's a struggle. It's a struggle just understanding what's reasonable. How to get set up, dealing with your kids and other kids. I was talking to a teacher today, and she said, "Well, we have one device, and so they three have to work, but I also have to work, and so that's one of the struggles that we're fighting with, but she still has those demands."
And I have to share the laptop. So, and we're just blessed to even have one and to have Wi-Fi. So when you think about my wife and I having to share to be able to work because she's a teacher and all the meetings and all the assignments, and then you think about the kids who don't have, and you think about the parents at home trying to teach them, this is a very challenging time.
I agree. It's very, very challenging. And like you say, we'll come out on the other side more knowledgeable, more experienced, and hopefully that'll kind of change some things in the grander scheme of education. What position has this left you as a consultant inside of schools? Like, how are you trying to change with the times?
So, most of my work was face to face and was on site. So, I was usually doing hands on staff development with teachers and principals, and then also going and doing classroom walks together with leaders, providing feedback, etc. So, obviously, with schools closed, that work is on hold. And as schools begin to try to figure out how to walk forward, my work right now has been in consulting and doing coaching calls. Just the other day, I was on the phone with one of my partners who had not thought about social emotional support during this time. And so they've been able to change their structure for principal meetings and for meetings with their teachers to be able to focus on that first and to set some more realistic expectations. So lots of, I guess, coaching calls. I'm having to learn how to use technology myself, honestly, because we're all real good at using our phones and texting. But I haven't really been doing video lessons or podcasts or online learning myself. So, I've updated my website, I've updated my Facebook business page, and I'm going to start pushing out some video content and some online content. But realistically, I have to learn how to do it first. So, so I'm spending some time doing some webinars during the day, attending webinars about how to do things. And yesterday was a webinar about a technology platform to use. So I'm having to learn a lot myself because I do believe that we're going to have to diversify the education space, not only in our public schools, but also diversify what we're doing as coaches and consultants to kind of mix hands-on face-to-face learning with things that we can do with technology as well. I don't think we'll ever take the place of people, and I think that's what we've got to focus on, personal connection. But we have a lot of catching up to do with use of technology and online learning platforms that actually connect with people. I'm in learning mode.
I understand. A friend of mine teaches at Prairie View, and so I did a podcast with her, and the biggest thing she said was, we have to stay update on learning about technology, and we have to get taught just so we can go back in to teach the teachers because she works in the education department. So that learning curve is real, Doc. I'm glad that I really had got ahead of things. So I'm able to kind of do a little bit more when it comes to videos or things for the staff. But hey, hey.
I've enjoyed your podcast and especially the one about coronavirus and Shanghai and things like that and the work that you're doing. So you may have to teach me.
Doc, I got you, man. Cut it out. I call you anytime. So I got you. It's only right I return the favor. So as you're going through this and you're building up, what words would you have for a consultant or someone that's out of work right now due to the quarantine? What would you say?
I think the first thing I would offer is that there's got to be a way that we can all come together and support each other, learn from each other, help each other out. Like, you can help me learn ways that I can do video, podcasting and online learning, and I'm sure I can help you in some ways. I'm offering some free coaching right now just to help people and serve people. I think that's the first piece of advice I would give is try to realize that we're all in this together and find a way to help somebody else. And then I think the next thing would be during this time to try to learn. And, even if it is challenging, learn new things and try to learn from other people. So help people, serve people, learn from other people, and then be ready to support and to solve a problem. Learn how to get in touch with and network with people and schools and leaders to be able to put yourself out there and show who you are as a servant leader, to be able to put yourself out there and maybe get some FaceTime and some contact with people. Not always to sell them something, I don't think, but to learn from them so that you know how to serve them better. Advice that I'm trying to follow right now myself.
Can you please give the contact information, because I want to make sure that people are able to take advantage of those coaching sessions.
Sure, absolutely. So I have my own Facebook page and Twitter page and LinkedIn page under Billy Snow. But when you go to Facebook, you can actually look up Transformation Leaders Network on a Facebook page, and there are a few articles and special things already posted. And then there is a space where you can book different kinds of coaching. So right now I'm offering free 1-hour coaching calls to anybody from assistant principal to central office. And they can be done via video like this call, or it can be done over the phone. And you can just go on to Facebook and sign up on the Transformation Leaders Network Facebook page. We also have a website that you can check out, www.transformationleadersnetwork.com, to learn a little bit more about the services that we offer and kind of what we do. But I do encourage you to check out what we're doing, and I encourage the audience to do so as well.
All right, man. I want to thank you for stopping by and giving a little time today, virtually.
Absolutely, and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate being given the chance to talk about the work and to catch up as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That'll do it then. All right, y'all. This is KT for KTTeeV signing out. 100.